the meeting of the Essex Junction Board of Trustees to order. Any agenda additions or changes, Brad, Wendy?
There are no changes or additions to the agenda. We've listed that you're doing interviews with the Housing Commission, Planning Commission, and Development Review Board. There have been 2 additional applications that came through since the packet was posted to the website. So Maggie Massey's application and Dylan Zwicky's applications are not in the packet that folks are seeing at home, but they are going to be interviewed tonight. But no changes to the agenda. That's just an update.
Great. Board members, any agenda additions or changes? No? All right. Don't have to approve that. We'll move on to public to be heard. This is a portion of the meeting where members of the public can comment or bring concerns to the board on items that are not on the agenda for this evening. So Dan, is there anybody in the room there?
Yes. Anybody here from the public would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda tonight? So that's public to be heard. An issue that is not on our agenda. Anybody? No? I guess we're all set.
Okay. I see Mr. Monkey, hope I'm saying that right, online. So why don't you go ahead?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, way worse has been done to my name in the past. So my name's Erhard Monka. I just wanted to introduce myself to folks and to folks who are watching on YouTube. I am running for Chittenden County Senate from the new Chittenden Central District. And just by way of brief introduction, just let folks know, I've lived in Chittenden County for over 40 years with my family. My wife, Sydney, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you for a second. I don't believe this is the appropriate venue for this sort of introduction. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I understand why you'd want to, but that's just not something we do.
All right. Other boards do it, so I thought I'd jump in. But if that's inappropriate, my apologies.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you for understanding.
Okay. Yeah, but no, of course.
Anyone else? Not seeing anyone else, so I guess we'll move on to the public hearing we have scheduled. So I'll call the public hearing to order for the FY23 proposed water and sewer utility rates. And Jess Morris is here to explain this all again for the second go round. Welcome. I think you're muted. Nope, you're not. Sorry. Oh, maybe you are. Can't hear you.
No sound.
Yeah, we'll give Jess just a minute to get her audio situation taken care of.
Yes, please.
Three people here in the audience. I saw a couple signed in. Is everybody signed in? Okay. All right. Thank you.
So folks just joined us. We're about to start a public hearing for water and sewer utility rates, and our finance director is having a little bit of trouble with audio, so we're waiting for her. Brad, I don't want to jump the gun, but do you want to, should we go on to talk with Colleen and come back? Give it a few more minutes. I don't mind waiting.
Let's just give it another minute or two. If it was obviously just a business item, I wouldn't mind switching. It's the public hearing notice.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'd like to hold still for just a second. Thanks
Sure.
for your patience.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Dan, do you know if George is joining us, or is he out tonight?
George will not be joining us tonight,
Okay, great.
out of town.
This move to Wednesday nights is really throwing my trucks, taps, and tunes Wednesdays off, just so you know, trustees.
As the person that requested it, I had the same feeling this afternoon and thought, how ironic.
I had
How late did they run?
not late enough for when we're going to be done. I had some unhappy children as well.
Oh, really, like, just twist the knife, Brad. Just get it in there. Oh, the kids are unhappy too. Oh.
Mhm.
Well, I'd like to see the part of the hockey game maybe later.
So Jess is going to work. Is going to try calling in to see, and then I can rotate the slides for her.
Okay, sounds good.
Hi. Do you want to sign in, if you could, right there? We're just waiting for the finance director to get a link. I think her internet had some problems, so she's gonna be calling in. That's the first item on the agenda.
I didn't even know where I was going.
Oh, it's okay.
I went to the wrong building.
Hey, Raj. While we're waiting, there's a member of the public here. Can I just ask her if she has the item? Ma'am, do you have an item that you want to discuss that's not on the agenda? We have already opened it up for public to be heard, but
No, I'm here to be interviewed for
Yeah.
housing.
yeah, okay.
like she's joining.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
All right.
we got you.
All right. Sorry about that.
No
For some
problem.
reason, the mic on this laptop does not work well when I'm at home. So,
We'll get
all
you
right.
figured out.
So okay. We are on our second of two public hearings on the water, wastewater, and sanitation rates for FY23. Again, using the same calculation methods as established in prior years. Brad, if you want to go to the second slide, I actually might still be able to share too, if that's easier. Okay. So in summary, our combined rate is increasing about 7.7%. The screen, yep, there you go. This combined rate is for water and sewer and sanitation. The next slide shows a history of 5-year averages, with FY23 being, for the most part, in line with those historical averages. The 7.7% increase for FY23 translates to $41.78 per year for the average residential property, using 120 gallons per day. On the next slide, we have the water rate. The water rate is seeing the highest increase this year due to a 5.8% increase in the operating budget. That increase is driven mostly by employee benefits costs and increasing one shared position from part-time to full-time. This budget also has a 3.5% rate increase from Champlain Water District, the wholesale rate that we pay for the water. This increase is normally about 3%, so a little bit higher than normal this year. The wastewater rate is a 10.6% increase in the operating budget. And this is related to that same shared position I just mentioned, increasing to full-time. We have other various cost increases associated with changing state regulations and unfunded mandates coming from the state. Our sanitation rate has the lowest increase this year at 1.5%. We have a $7,750 increase for planned debt repayment, and then some slight increases in the admin fee and pump station costs. Our large water user rate is the rate that is charged to Global Foundries, also calculated using established methods and agreements with them. And this is calculated based on actual and projected usage. So we have an increase of 1.8 cents over the current rate to 11 cents per 1,000 gallons. The wastewater treatment wholesale rate is the rate that is paid by the town of Essex and Williston for treatment through our wastewater facility. There's a 9.7% increase in this rate, and wastewater, the budget for wastewater has an increase of 10.6%, with significant increases for biosolids land application, chemicals, and electricity. And there's also a planned increase in the transfer to capital in this fund. And I believe that's it for the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
So at this time, I'll ask if there are any members of the public in person at Lincoln Hall or on the Zoom call or on the phone that have any questions on the FY23 water, wastewater, and sanitation rates as they were presented.
On this presentation? Nothing here, Rob.
Thanks. Trustees, any questions for Jeff?
I'm good.
No. Jess, thank you so much. That was great. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
perseverance.
Yeah, sorry for the delay.
No problem. It happens. All right, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and return to business item 6A, consider approval of the fiscal year 2023 proposed utility rates that were just presented.
I'll move that the trustees adopt the FY23 utility rates as presented.
Second.
Do we need to read this out, Brad? Are we good?
You're good.
Okay. Dan proposed, Amber seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And we have passed the FY23 utility rates. Move on to business item 6B, a conversation with our HR director, Colleen Dwyer. I think she's here.
I'm here. I don't know. Hi.
It works.
Yes. How are you all?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me. And Brad, thanks for kind of initiating this process. I wasn't sure if there was a way that you guys wanted to start, but if not, I'll just jump in.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, and if you have some prepared info, prepared remarks, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the 6-month department look back. So I'm new. I started on February 28th. I'm also new to municipality work. So the past 4 months have been me learning a lot about how municipalities differ from the private sector. I think that it is definitely a learning curve. And even just over the past month, I feel like there's certain things that have started to click, and I'm starting to understand a little bit more about how municipalities work and how I can take my knowledge from the private sector and, be able to successfully operate as the HR director for Essex Junction. So that's been like kind of the biggest thing that I've been doing these past 4 months. I think another theme that has come up in my work is compensation. I think there's a lot of people who have felt that there is a need to look at that. And I think, when we renegotiate the contract, it's definitely something that is going to be needed to consider. I think we have a great benefits package. There's a lot of great things that the village does for their employees, and I feel super grateful to reap those benefits. And it would be nice to have some balance between the benefits package and the compensation package. Another thing that has consumed a lot of my time, and I couldn't have done any of it without Brad's kind of direction, is the city manager hiring process. So it's been, I think there's been a setup where it's very thorough, and there's going to be no stone unturned to try to find the best person for the village, given everything that we have done or will do to make sure that's done well. So just even, the recruitment and hiring committee and engaging the community and just the thorough process that we're engaged in right now to make sure that those candidates are properly vetted is happening right now and taking up some of my time, along with, we've hired this doesn't include the seasonal people that EJRP is kind of dealing with right now. But since I've started here, there's been 10 new hires. 8 of them are full-time people, 2 part-time people, which makes, exciting stuff for the culture of the village. So that's what I've been doing. What I am moving towards in the next half of my work is I'm going to shadow every department. So I'll spend time, and I did this with Public Works already. So I spent time I spent a day with that department and seeing how they work, and it's a good way to get to know folks personally, as colleagues, and then, letting people get to meet me as their new HR person, and also getting a snapshot and an understanding of what their work entails if I'm going to be making decisions about their employment. Then I think it would be a good idea just to spend some time with them and get to know them. So I spent a little time with Robin at Community Development, Public Works, at Brownell. I spent the day with those folks, and then going to wastewater next week. And then the other departments are still working on the time, for me to get to spend time with them. So that's been definitely one of my favorite things I've done so far, is like just getting to know everybody. So I did that. We are working on giving feedback to department heads. So we did the firefighter survey and was able to give Chief Chris some feedback about his department, and it was really a positive experience spending time with Chris, talking about the feedback from the fire department and what is going well and what opportunities for growth there is. And Chris was amazing at receiving feedback and really a professional about what he's going to do next. So it was a really nice way to start that. And so Brad and I are working on finishing the final draft for that and getting that information out to staff, or to department head staff, so that we can get feedback for people's growth and just kind of expanding on their, emotional intelligence, whether it's like self-awareness, motivation, self-management, like all those things that emotional intelligence make up. And I think providing feedback is really going to help people grow. And then another thing I'm excited about is like looking at building culture. And I think that, walking in 3 months ago, I have been, I don't know what the right word is, but I've been welcomed by staff in a really warm and friendly way, with the goal of setting me up for success. So I feel like the bones and the foundation for a great culture is already there. It will be really nice to kind of be intentional, and maybe this is already happening because again, I'm like so new, but like intentionality around communication, teamwork, in the hopes of like lowering burnout and, increasing employee morale, would be really nice to be a part of and to help assist in that. That's like what I'm looking forward to. I think in terms of opportunities that, good for the trustees to know, is that I think there is some opportunities for efficiencies. And I think that would just be I think it's already starting with payroll going bi-weekly in the future. It would be nice to have some more automation, including like an HRIS system that is more employee focused and allows for employee engagement. So working on those stuff, and hopefully that will be something that this time next year we'll be able to check off the list that, some of these things are happening. I think culture is always a work in progress. And so that's something that will always be on my agenda of like helping build and shift. Do folks have any questions for me or feedback from me? Happy to take any questions or feedback.
Amber, Dan, anything?
Good.
No. Thanks for all the help on the hiring committee.
Oh, no problem.
Greatly appreciated it.
Yeah. I guess the one last thing I would like to say is I haven't had a million jobs, but I've had like several jobs in my lifetime, and the way that the village is towards each other and the community, the employees, is just really pretty special. And I feel really lucky to have found my way to this place. And I hope that I'm around for quite some time.
That's really wonderful to hear, actually. I'm so happy that you're feeling welcome and that your first few months have been rewarding. I'm sure it was interesting jumping right into the manager hiring process and all of that and all of that time.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hear, how it goes over not any particular period of time, but the near future and long term around building culture. It sounds like what you're saying is that, the village is already starting out with a good base in that respect. And I do agree. I think there's always work to do. So it sounds great. I know you've only been here a short time, so that's quite a bit to go over for 3 months.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
Yes, a lot is coming.
Yes, and there's times where I thought things would go one way, but then I learned like, oh, you can't do that in municipal government. So luckily I've been cut off at the pass before I made any wrong turns.
Also the village way. What's the biggest difference, do you think? What have you noticed that's the biggest surprise between private and municipal?
I think so. I think it's a two-way. It's a positive and a negative in the sense of like slowing down is and being more intentional with the pace, how the pace of municipal government is, and so that has been like something that stands out to me, because in my last job, it was a very fast pace. Like you just had to keep moving and moving. And here it's like, okay, you got to slow down and be thoughtful. And it definitely works better because there's, I think, going to be less mistakes, but it can be internally frustrating because you want to keep moving forward and you want to grow and move forward. And not to say, it's just a different way of moving towards the end result. So that's been a shock for me. But I'm learning to find balance with that, so that I don't want to get complacent and be like, oh well, that's just I have time to do that. But my role is I have people's jobs where if there's a decision that I need to make, the anxiety that people experience when they're waiting for a decision that it's about their life, I need to be considerate and like continue to move forward and maybe push the pace a little further, but also balance of like, did we look at every angle, which Brad has been really good at encouraging me to explore.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's going well for you, and we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking the time tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So if there are no more questions for Colleen, we'll move on. Consider amendments to the Housing Commission Charter. Who is going to introduce this, if anyone?
That's me.
Awesome.
Unless it's Brad first. No.
No, you're good, Gabrielle. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
So, oh, right. Somebody's sharing their screen. Thanks.
Hi, Gabrielle. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Sorry. The screen keeps changing around. Apologies. So I'm the vice chair of the Housing Commission, and I live here in Essex Junction. And I'm also, just on a little aside, it's a little bittersweet. I think this is the last meeting of the village trustees, no?
Oh, good grief. I didn't even think of that.
All right.
Let's all just take a minute and just kind of like.
I know, right?
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay.
just noticing.
Moment's gone.
Yeah, the moment's gone. So the Housing Commission has been asked by both boards to consider our recommendations for transitioning to from a joint commission to two separate commissions. It's our understanding that both municipalities want to continue to have a housing commission, but that they be separated. And we've given that quite a bit of thought. We had a day of retreat with staff support, and these are our recommendations for you. They were approved last night at the select board meeting. Because they were in your agenda, and I know you all have they're in your packet and you have a full agenda. I'm not going to read anything aloud for you, but the essence of our recommendation is really comes from a place of wanting to ensure as much continuity to both municipalities' housing commissions. We've been around for not quite 2 years. We're a new commission, and everyone on the commission is learning the ropes, except for probably Mia Watson, who's quite the expert in housing. And so we felt that if we were to simply separate at this point and work with the commissioner's experience that you have on board, it would be a couple of people, 2 to 3 people in each community, and a big learning curve, again, that we felt would set back the work that we've done so far and the progress that we're making. And so the recommendation is to have an interim period between now and no later than April of 2023. And that we expand the number of commissioners on the Joint Housing Commission to 10 that are appointed 5 and 5 by each municipality. That is based on our understanding that there are no more regular joint meetings. And we felt that that would enable both both boards to set themselves up with their own appointments for then the separation later. All current appointment terms would stay. And so that would mean Katie Ballard has one more year. I would have, if I'm reappointed, would have 3 more years. We do have a vacancy right now. It is from someone who, Michelle Teagarten, who lives in the town outside the village. We have a vacancy plus a pending vacancy coming open as the term is ending, and the current commissioner is not going to reapply. We recommend that the charter be amended so that we have a quorum of 5, which enables us to continue to do our work in business while we're onboarding new members and recruiting new members. And then as of no later than April of next year, we would envision whether or not you all have determined that we're formally separated or not, we would begin to really function as 2 separate commissions. And once we're fully separated, we would ask that the new charters for both new commissions would have 7 members again with a quorum of 4, as we have now.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I think we've all read through it. Any of the board members have any questions on it? Great, I do not. Just looking for the memo, just to make sure I understand what we're doing. Any comments on the job description, trustees? No, okay. This sounds great. I guess if there's no questions, I'll ask if there are any members of the public in person or online that have any that wish to comment on this. Come up to the table either in Toon Lincoln or raise your hand on Zoom or speak up on the phone. Give it another couple seconds. All right, with no comment, I'll entertain a motion from one of the trustees. I think it's on.
I'll move that the Board of Trustees endorse its separation proposal and approve the revised Joint Housing Commission Charter, anticipating that the final resolutions to separate the Housing Commission and the proposed new charters will be provided by June 1st of 2023.
Second.
Dan made that and Amber seconded. So with no other comment, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. And so this passes. Gabrielle, thanks so much. I hope that was relatively painless for you. Can't wait to hear what you all are doing.
Yep.
And thanks for all the effort.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to interviews to consider appointments to the Housing Commission, Planning Commission, and Development Review Board. And I think we have an order to this.
Yes, and I'll just do a quick intro. So we have 9 members, actually 3 from each of those boards that you just listed, Raj, who have submitted applications and are planning to attend tonight to be interviewed. And so you all, I think you can roll right through all 9 of those. The order is right here. And then decide at the end if you'd like to evaluate those in executive session or make appointments without the executive session. So that'll be up to you. But the first one up is Gabrielle Smith.
Well, welcome, Gabrielle. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So great to see you again.
Did you all know this is the last meeting of the Essex Junction Board?
It just didn't occur to me.
Have you heard that before?
It didn't occur to me.
Didn't occur to you.
We're not going to take another moment, though.
Sorry about the puppy.
It's okay.
This shouldn't keep going. That's usually his call for opening a door. So I am applying to continue in my role as a commissioner on the Housing Commission. I've been in this role for not quite 2 years since the committee started, and it has been it's been a really big learning curve for me. I came to the commission without much housing experience at all. So I've been learning a lot along with most of my colleagues, and I've been kind of astonished to think about the scope of the housing, not only the housing crisis in Vermont, but beginning to really understand more deeply just how interconnected it is. There's so many factors that affect housing, and I'm very aware of the privilege I've had my whole life of having a stable place to live. I've never been unhoused, and I am unaware of a lot of the strains that people come under when they are having to live in unsafe housing situations, when people are struggling to manage rental units, when they have lots of pressures on them. So there's all kinds of factors that I'm aware of, in addition to learning a bit more about the development side and as we work on inclusionary zoning. So I am feeling that I'm just ready to be in a place where I can contribute even more to the commission. I'm especially ecstatic to be hopefully on the commission for the city of Essex Junction, and to, while focusing on housing issues and advocacy in our own community. And advocacy, I mean advocating for housing in our community, and serving as a support to the city council. Also really aware of the interconnectedness of housing, not just with the town of Essex, but also with all of those around us. I've been attending some of the regional planning commission meetings, connections, where they have all of us meeting a couple times a year, where we have a chance to talk to each other within the county, other housing commissioners in different communities. So all of those things are just lead me to want to do this for another 3 years. And I believe that I'm in a stronger position now than I was when I was first appointed to contribute to the work of the committee.
That sounds great. Dan, Amber, do you have any questions for Gabrielle? You know, Gabrielle, I don't have any questions for you either. I'm really grateful that you're willing to do another term. And you had mentioned earlier the interconnectedness of other social determinants and other things. I'd love, not tonight, but I'd love to hear at any time what may come up as something that may need to be addressed in another way. Maybe it's not part of the charter and the purview of the Housing Commission, but it certainly might contribute. And any of that that the group wants to bring to the trustees would always be welcome. And there certainly are a number of things.
Thank you.
So please feel free to do that. And in the interest of brevity, just I think we'll let you go. I'm again, thanks again for being willing to continue the work. It's appreciated.
Well, thank you all and have a really great night.
You
Good to
too.
see you all. Thanks.
I think our next interview is with Tatanisha Radita. Is she in person?
She's here, Raj.
Okay, great.
Take a seat at the table.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Doing well. Thank you for applying for this position. I don't know if you'd like to give us a brief introduction and maybe talk about, briefly talk about what your motivation is for this and what you hope to bring.
My motivation for this is that I was once homeless. I slept in my car. So I know the crimes on being homeless and needing a place to stay and a decent place to stay, an affordable place to stay. I worked 2 jobs and I still could not make my rent. And I had 2 small children at the time. So this is important to me. It's near my heart. So I would love to be a part of this. I wanted to know how everything works and what I can contribute to the decisions or whatnot for everything that goes on with it.
Have you had a chance to attend any of the meetings or watch any of the, I don't know if they're,
I've
I don't know.
watched 2 of them before.
Okay.
But that was maybe the beginning of the year and then last year.
Okay. Have you, sorry, I'm just going to keep asking questions for a minute, I guess. Have you served in any volunteer roles in any committees for the town or the village in the past?
I am on the EDC. I am also with the CJC. I volunteer for them as well. And the EDC board, and then I've been on a couple of other things with the Planning Commission. I help with that. I just got done Juneteenth. So
Right.
I volunteer for that as well. Everything that they have, I'm basically there. Or on email, so I'm in everything.
That was almost a rhetorical question because I kind of was aware of most of that. So I just wanted you to have a chance to say it and explain it. And again, I heard Juneteenth was amazing. So thank you for participating in that.
Thanks.
Trustees, any questions for Tatanisha? No, I don't. I'm thrilled that you are willing to do this again. I keep saying that. I don't want to put you through a lot of this. So, thank you very much for throwing your hat into this. I look forward to hearing your perspective. I'm sure the group looks forward to hearing your perspective
Thank
and
you
working
all
with
for
you.
considering me.
And I can't guarantee that we'll make decisions tonight. I think we're trying to make decisions tonight, but we'll keep you updated. And
Much.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And is Ned Daly online or is he in person?
In person.
Okay. Okay, great. Let's wait for the table switch. Oh, hi, Ned. Sorry, didn't see you there. Just looking over here. Ned, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for volunteering for this. I didn't know if you wanted to give a brief introduction and talk about, as I asked earlier, you talk about your motivations and interest in the Housing Commission.
Well, I've lived in here for 10 years now. Probably for the last 8 years, I've been on the Essex Planning Commission. So I have a real background in what some of the issues are in development in the area. There's no simple solutions. It's a complex problem that deals with builders, developers, several town boards, zoning regulations, infrastructure, is a key. And I've spent most of my working life, I'm not working anymore, probably all my working life really in either construction or design and development. Worked with a pretty wide variety of people and on different types of projects. And my my strength is basically taking a lot of unrelated parties and joining them together to make a project, to build something, or to come up with a good end result. And there's a variety of players that need to be brought in. And I think part of what my strength is basically understanding where the different parties are coming from and how we design a program that gets them involved and gets the project we wanted. I see a lot of things facing the state of Vermont, and to be honest with you, housing is a critical issue, and if we can't provide affordable housing for a very wide range of our working people, we're destined to stagnate. There's not going to be growth, but I think it's a challenge that I would definitely like to take. Some of my background, and the reason I'm looking at this is as a representative of the Planning Commission, I worked with some people on the Housing Commission as part of their discussions on inclusionary zoning. Not concluded yet, but I think it's been a good process, and I've enjoyed working with the people, and I'd sort of like to continue to be able to do that.
Raj, your microphone's on.
Yes, I just noted. Thank you. Thanks, Ned, for that introduction. And Dan or Amber, do you have any questions for Ned?
Excuse me?
I was wondering if Dan or Amber. I was just wondering if either of you, either trustees, had any questions.
Well, I just one question. You said you were on the planning commission for the town, and now with obviously the town's development and what their needs are, how do you see the differences between the two? Is there do you see similar?
I am not on the planning commission.
No,
anymore.
you were.
I was. Yeah.
I'm just curious what your experience from being a member of the town's planning commission, coming in, looking at the village, being in the village, and where we go forward is different from where the town, you see the town. Are we on the same?
I think we're almost, there's it's two very different situations. I've been involved for more years than I'd like to admit on this, the ETC, the Essex Town Center, which we've been struggling to get, they struggled to get off the ground, and it's still, and that's one that's basically at this point blocked by infrastructure. I think I see the city, or the village here, as more complete as far as having the support for infrastructure and all to be able to accomplish something, limited only by the fact that there probably aren't as many available spaces to do it. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is being able to develop affordable, useful housing, and I think one of the things that probably drives me the most is I'm a real bug on quality. I will not accept something just to get it built if it's going to be poor quality, because in the end, no one wins. And 15 years later, we've got something that's terrible. And we just my wife and I both kind of decided we wanted to do some things while we're up here and able. And so here I am.
Good. Well, thank you for your dedication to, the community and putting yourself forward to this position.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
I one of the things I do have the time. I still have a lot of contacts and design basically all over the country. So, I kind of in my spare time keep up on what the latest things are doing and always looking for better ways to get to that end conclusion, which is to deliver a good product to the people.
Well, thank you.
Well, Ned, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Amber, if you don't have any questions, I don't. I, again, very appreciative of you stepping forward and being willing to put your name in the hat for this. As I said earlier, I think we're going to try to make decisions tonight, but we'll keep you posted one way or the other. And we'll be in touch. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. So Brad, are we moving on to Planning Commission now, correct? Yes, looks that way.
That's
Diane?
correct. Diane is seeking reappointment, and you have 2 new members.
Okay, great. Diana, looks like you're online.
Yes, I'm online. I was like, I can figure out how to get myself untiled here. No, that's the wrong one.
Come on, Diane, we're 2.5 years into this.
Well, hey, anyhow, so darn tiles. It won't do what I want it to do. There we go. Come on. There we
There she
go.
is. Good.
There we are. So
welcome. For folks that don't know, you're currently on the Planning Commission. You're asking to continue on the Planning Commission. You've provided us with a bunch of information, but I guess I'd love to know, in your time on the Planning Commission, which I think is extensive, what do you think you're most proud of? And on the flip side of that, what are you still hoping to accomplish or finish going forward?
well, my accomplishments are, I guess you could say I'm one of the few people that are still around that managed to write that comprehensive plan, the first municipal plan, actually. In fact, I work with a bunch of people who are still involved in the community regarding utilities and facilities and getting the first one off the ground. So I won't mention any names, but they're out and about and still involved. So I'm proud of the fact that we have a municipal plan, that we have a comprehensive plan, and that we're guided by that in our land development code. So, of which we are updating right now. The cycle generally is, as Amber and Dan probably will remember, that the next step will be to rewrite the comprehensive plan. As to our vision of what's going to go in the future. And one time when the comprehensive plan was done, I got a lot of marching orders to try to get a variety of people involved to facilitate each component and having the discussion, trying to get the public in to discuss their plan, because that's the time to talk about it, is what's your vision for the future. So that should be next in where things are going. And since we're going to be a new city, this would be a good time to get a new start.
That's great. When do you anticipate that process ideally getting underway?
Probably in a year.
Okay, great. Good. So get 1 year under our belts and okay.
To do it well, it really should be a activity for 3 years to really have that discussion of where things are going, and it should not be rushed. It should be comprehensive. Gosh darn it, we're using the vocabulary. So But in all essence, it should be getting a lot of people involved. It shouldn't be the NIMBY part. Here's the chance to talk about what's going up in the backyard, or the front yard or the side yard or across town. So it's something that we all should be talking about, because we are a small community. Everything really does affect it. Quite frankly, for you guys that live in the neighborhood with me, anytime Pearl Street gets all socked in, you can't move anywhere until certain events flush out and you can get back out in the street again.
Yeah.
So, and that's nothing going on in my neighborhood, but it's, few half miles down the road. So,
I think the timing is great. Becoming a new city and then taking that deliberate time to engage on what we want that city to look like and be, I think is great.
and a lot of people have been involved in the last couple of years here. So I'm hoping that people really do step up, because I've seen more people getting involved. And it was encouraging to see that there were people who were asking to be on the planning commission. It's been like pulling teeth, and it's nice to see that people are stepping up and wanting to volunteer and get involved.
It is really a great way to have an impact on the community for sure.
Yeah.
Dan or Amber, any questions for Diane?
No, I was just going to comment that I do think that that's one of the important things and helpful things about splitting the PC from the DRB, is that those folks who really want to focus on planning, and I know this, and I think you know this, Diane, as well, is that there's always been this intention to try to focus on planning, but applications in that process drags it down. And so now you have a whole entire committee that is the sole focus is let's focus on planning. And so I think it's going to be great. And I agree. I'm glad to see so many new faces in all of these applications that we've seen tonight. It's great. And thanks for agreeing to stay on the planning commission.
Here.
You're welcome.
I agree. Also nice to have that experience, so that it's not an entire new board. You bring with you, Diane, to the board, your experience, so you can mentor some of the newer members and give them some guidance and a little background, from your past. So that's good. I appreciate it.
Well, what I've seen of the people who have applied to be on the planning commission, I think it's going to be a great discussion as to getting us going forward. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of like, where have these guys been for the last couple of years? But
don't scare them off now.
No, we see three people. We could definitely have a quorum. I mean, the having seven to kind of put a snag in life. But it's I think I'm hoping that we can attract a few more, and make this a truly, a community-wide event and discussion.
To that note, I think if people realize, as you explained, that the next few years, 3 or 4 years, will be, engaging in a conversation on what the community is supposed to look like for the next 10 or 15 or so, I think that'll be pretty motivating to get people to step up too. I think there's a lot of people in our community that really that are really excited right now, especially to think about that and have an impact on that. So I know we'll be we'll try to get that message out as well, to fill out the board. So without any other questions, I just want to say thanks for putting your name back in, for continuing, and we will let you know.
Oh, hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Probably soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. All right, next for the Planning Commission, Scott McCormick.
He's here.
Is Scott with us?
Yeah, he's here. Getting up to the
Oh, in person. Great. Okay.
person.
Hi, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Uh,
Good evening.
Appreciate you putting your name in for Planning Commission. I guess I'll ask what I've been asking everybody, or something close to it. If you'd like to take a minute and give us a little introduction of yourself and what's motivating you to participate in the Planning Commission.
Sure. Thank you very much. As you noted, my name is Scott McCormick. I've been a resident of Essex Junction since 1988, so going on 34 years now. However, the caveat is that I've spent 17 of those years working and living overseas, mostly in Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean, managing projects, environmental management, climate change adaptation, wildlife conservation, transboundary water resources for a consulting firm in Burlington that was called Associates in Rural Development, then ARD, and now Tetra Tech ARD. I retired from full-time in May 2018. And since that time, I've been basically enjoying retirement life and doing a few consultancies. The other day, I noticed the application or the request for volunteers for the Planning Commission. I've been looking for things to do in my retirement. I've had a lot of experience working with municipalities, both, well, let's say regional governments, national governments, local governments, and communities, but albeit all of that pretty much overseas. And I think that a lot of the issues that municipalities face worldwide are pretty much the same as they face in the United States. I've had a lot of experience with local government devolution, responsibilities going from national governments to local governments, and the teething that's required for local governments to adhere to and adapt to those changes. What I'm interested in, I did have a chance to look at the comprehensive plan. I have to congratulate people. It's extremely comprehensive, bad word, I guess. But I think it's all highly ambitious. And a lot of the things in there, I think, are also things that you could consider to be what I call outside your manageable interests, or things that you may not have complete control over, that require, as Diane was saying, the input of stakeholders in the process, community members, private sector, municipal officials, department heads, et cetera. And I think that's a challenge that you're going to face in the next couple of years. I have a fairly significant amount of experience working with stakeholder groups, both facilitating dialogue and getting people towards implementation of strategic plans, work plans, et cetera. So I'm very interested in what Diane was talking about and looking forward to possibly participating in the implementation of the comprehensive plan, getting people involved from the community, from the private sector, et cetera. And I think that that's something I could contribute significantly to the Planning Commission.
Thanks for that. Yeah, you mentioned work towards climate change adaptation, and that's something I'm sure will come up as the next iteration of the comprehensive plan, and as we work through planning. I hope that takes a pretty big amount of time for consideration. How can this community become more resilient? What can we do to address those issues locally? What practices can we put in place and things like that? So, Dan, Amber, anything for Scott?
No, thank you. Obviously, you have a lot of vast experience, on a larger scale than just a little village or city here, but that diverse background and experience obviously will help us, moving forward. I mean, you've got information that probably none of us have ever, heard or seen from the experience overseas, and comparing it. And as you said, a lot of very similar. There's similarities between there and here, and how they were able to accomplish goals or get on the right track. I think we really could use that information and that expertise.
I have to admit there is a learning curve. Even though I've been a resident here for 34 years, I haven't done a lot of participation in village activities, but I do think that there are a lot of similarities, municipality to municipality, regardless of the location. So I hope that I can contribute.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think especially as we move forward over the next 2 to 4 years, public engagement is going to be key in getting people to come and talk about these things. And appreciate you putting your name in for this and taking the time tonight. And I think, as I've said before, I think we're going to try to make a decision as soon as possible, and we'll be in touch one way or the other, whether we've made a decision tonight or we had to wait till the next meeting. But we'll keep you informed, and thanks very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, Elijah Massey. I hope I'm
Hello.
saying that right.
Can you
Hi
hear
there.
me?
Yes, gotcha.
Great.
Well, thank you for putting your name in and volunteering and being here tonight. And again, if you'd like to take a minute to introduce yourself and talk about your motivations for seeking a position on the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Raj. Like Diane and Scott, very interested in the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission, to be civically engaged in our community, particularly, as Diane pointed out, at this time when the community will be re-examining a very robust, as Scott noted, and comprehensive kind of guiding document. So a really interesting time for this opportunity to come up. In terms of kind of background experience, I'm kind of the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of village residence from Scott. My family and I have been here maybe a 10th in the time that he's been in the village, coming up on 3 years. So provide a different perspective in terms of the various demographics that our community encompasses. I'm also originally not from Vermont. I'm a Flatlander from out west, and have come to Vermont later in life. So that brings a whole other host of perspectives, about our state and our communities. Since I've been here, I have been actively engaged in community development work. I worked for the USDA's Rural Development Agency for 5 years, and based out of Montpelier. As part of that time, was fortunate to be able to serve on the board of the Vermont Community Development Association, which is a statewide municipal member organization that folks may be familiar with. They convene biannual events around issues that are of concern and of interest to Vermont communities. I recently changed jobs, still working with the Department of Agriculture, but no longer with the Rural Development Agency, which then I necessarily vacated my board position with the Community Development Association. And as a result, I'm interested in engaging with community development work a little bit closer to home, hence my interest in the Planning Commission. I think, as you know, Scott clearly has a much longer or deeper pedigree in terms of facilitation and community engagement work. But that is also something that I have a professional background in. I volunteered with the Vermont Council on Rural Development in their community visit process in several different communities around the state. And I'm really interested. I've participated in the UNH Extension community engagement course, again, as part of my work with rural development. So really excited for the opportunity to potentially apply those skills and those practices here at home, specifically around kind of garnering stakeholder involvement from all segments of our community, if I am selected and have the opportunity to engage in the process that the Planning Commission is involved in. I have kind of finally, I have served in local civic role briefly. I was on the walk bike committee when we first moved to the village. The birth of our second child caused me to step down from that about a year ago. But now she's one and a little bit more self-sufficient. So this seems like a good time to re-engage. If there's interest, then you'll have me. So happy to answer any questions. And that's a little bit about my background.
That's great. I'm impressed that you have a fairly self-sufficient 1-year-old. So that alone, is like, get him if he can do that with 1-year-old. Dan, Amber, any questions?
I'm good.
Elijah, that sounds great. I've read what you've provided to us. Your background sounds very interesting. I wouldn't worry about comparing with anyone else. We need a variety of perspectives and skills. So I honestly don't have many questions for you. Thank you for serving on Bike Walk, and thanks for putting your name in the hat. I hope the new position with USDA goes well. And we will be in touch, as I said earlier, we'll be in touch soon, and keep you informed on how the process is going.
Excellent. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And DRB. So I don't know if Kristen is here tonight. Is she in person?
She's in person here.
Dan, I'm glad you're there, because if none of us were there, that would be really unfortunate.
Hi.
Hi, Kristen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm one of those new people who's been sitting on the sidelines watching all of you do great work. So.
Oh, you're very kind. Full disclosure, I have the pleasure of working alongside Kristen at UVM on various projects over the years. Thank you for stepping up. So, as we've been doing, I'll give you a minute or a few minutes to, introduce yourself and talk about, why you're here and what you're hoping to bring.
Yeah. So like I said, I live in the village. I live actually in walking distance to this office and the Five Corners, and been here since 2007. My husband and I and my son, we love the village. We're so proud that we're going to become the city of Essex Junction. And I think that's probably part of why I really wanted to get involved. As I said, I've been watching from the sidelines. I really think you're all doing an amazing job, and things are changing, and I love the direction that it's going, and I just really want to be part of it and be involved. And I feel like I have a huge learning curve. I'm usually in my position I work for the University of Vermont Foundation. For the last 20 years, I'm the executive director of alumni relations for the College of Medicine. And so usually I'm on the other side of recruiting volunteers. So I feel like I spend all my time recruiting volunteers that I usually don't have time to be a volunteer. So I know how much work goes into even simply just meetings like this. So I really always appreciate people coming out and being a part of that. But I now have a 12-year-old son who's at ADL, completely loving it. And I just feel like this is a good time for me, and a good time for the soon-to-be city of Essex Junction. I also, as I mentioned, I'm not originally a Vermonter. I grew up in New Jersey, and my parents and my family were really involved in the town. My parents were both small business owners. My brother is actually the town administrator in my town that I grew up in, and so worked in and out of the town government, like for jobs when I was a young person. So I do have that experience, and I always enjoyed it. And so that's kind of my reason for wanting to get involved. So I think you're on mute.
Muted, yeah.
I wasn't going to mute, but my dog is crying a lot because I won't let her out. So, so thanks for that. What do what are your feelings about the direction the village is going with its village center, village downtown, and a lot of the infill development that is coming, and the conversation around affordable housing and housing issues?
Yeah, I mean, I loved all of the discussion just tonight on the Housing Commission and the Planning Commission. I think these are all really complicated and also intricately intertwined issues. And right now, I love coming down on a Saturday and seeing people walking and just being a community. And I know when I first moved here, I thought, Five Corners, like, is that ever going to be possible? And now it's like, oh my God, like you can actually see that it's possible to have this walkable downtown city. And I feel like it could be expanded. And I really like the housing combined with the retail. That's, in the town that I grew up in New Jersey, I've watched it evolve over time. And, that's really kind of what they kind of went towards in order to kind of keep the downtown alive, is have that mix of retail and housing together. And I think there's also just the, talking about the housing, the need to keep it affordable and then have a variety of options as far as just merchants and different stores. So right now, so far, I feel like it's going well. But obviously it's complicated. I know I'm always interested in like what's happening with like the Crescent Connector, if that's, I have a lot to learn, and I haven't really read that much, just in what I've read in the papers, but things like that, just kind of, I would think that there'd be a need and a desire to kind of expand out the city center, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your applying and like you said about the development, and the state has moved away from sprawl. They don't want to see sprawl. So we're looking at density, and hence the projects we have occurring here in the village center are toward that end of bringing people into the village and keeping them from moving out and, developing further out and sprawl occurring. So it's a balance, and you're exactly right. There's a lot of factors that play into the whole.
Yeah, and I think you can, I know that happened in the town in New Jersey that I grew up in, and I know people always think of New Jersey like it's totally all sprawl, but if you look up Westfield, New Jersey, it's a very similar downtown as this, and they really have worked really hard to kind of keep it alive and flourishing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Amber? Nope. Okay. Kristen, I'm gonna let you off a little easy.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, for volunteering. And we will, as I've said earlier, we'll be in touch, keep you informed in the process, hoping we can make some decisions tonight. And hope to see you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Maggie Massey. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am well. So I am guessing that I will be starting with the same question that everyone else.
Nope, you got a completely different one because you tried to guess. No, yes, please, if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself, talk about why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So feels a little funny to do the same thing. I'm married to Elijah. Yes. So our backgrounds will be very similar with, I moved here about 3 years ago. And I have been kind of trying to find a way to be more involved with the community. And I would not refer to my 1-year-old as self-sufficient, but others might decide that is an appropriate phrasing. But I think kind of we have really enjoyed Essex Junction and where we live, and just getting more involved in kind of where the community is heading and where the city is moving forward. And so I volunteered for the city manager recruitment team. And I thought that would be kind of a good way for me to see what it's like kind of volunteering and participating on a group, just with a kind of a shorter time commitment, not a 3-year term, to learn a little bit more about how these things operate, the time requirement, how much work needs to be put into it. And I would say I had a very good experience with that. So thank you, Brad, for making that very positive. And from that, I kind of had made a comment that I was looking for other committees that might allow me to be even more involved. And I was sent the openings for the Planning and the Development Review Committee. And while I feel like I have a stronger background in community development, I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Paraguay, and then got a master's in public administration from UVM and did some community development courses there. I also have a lot of experience reviewing applications. So I served as a Peace Corps recruiter and interviewed and recommended. So I wrote like the FOIA-able official recommendation on people for service. And then I volunteered a few times for different application review programs. So like a Spanish speaking grant program through USAID. And then I've helped mentor students as they're applying to college through Strive and just kind of reviewing college applications for that. So while I do feel I could have a stronger background in kind of the architecture land review part of this position, I am confident in my ability reviewing application and kind of following guidelines and things that have been set forth. So I think for me, I'm excited to have an opportunity to look at and kind of take what the Planning Commission has set forward and their goals and what they'd like to see, and just make sure what the soon-to-be city is doing aligns well with that. So.
That sounds fantastic. I don't know why I didn't put the two of you together. But I think it's hilarious one of you thinks, yeah, I think it's hilarious one of you thinks you're 1-year-old self-sufficient. That's a whole nother conversation.
Not true. She's
and,
great.
Amber, Dan, any questions?
I'm good.
No, I'm glad the hiring process and that whole experience was so positive. I didn't doubt it would be, but I'm glad that it had that impact on you and that it encouraged you to continue being involved, especially in this way. Your background sounds great. I don't doubt that what you're bringing is appropriate for what you're asking to do. So, how do you feel about where the village has gone to date and sort of where we see it going in terms of how it's developing and how that whole process is coming together, what's being brought here and all that?
I've been in favor of the development that I have seen kind of thus far, in terms of kind of not sprawling a more densely populated center and area, and just kind of trying to find ways to set up housing for people where they want to live and where they want to be, and focusing on making that a possibility. I would say too that I could do more to review the official plan and kind of see how I feel that all aligns. But in terms of me as an Essex Junction resident, I have been very pleased and excited about the changes that I've been seeing, especially as it relates to Five Corners. And, our house is walking distance to that. And we have very much enjoyed kind of all of the amenities and opportunities we have around us, which has been, it's been very nice to see it be developed and kind of intentionally developed.
Sounds great. But if Amber and Dan don't have any further questions, I know I don't. Again, I appreciate you putting your name in and for coming tonight, and for being willing to serve in this way. So we will let you know. I'll just leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, where are we? Dylan's Wiki. Am I saying that right?
You are.
Awesome. Good. Well, thanks. Just gonna scan. I apologize. We kind of got your information a little late, so I haven't had a chance to kind of go through it in detail. But maybe you can start, as we've asked everybody to, with a brief introduction and kind of what you can bring and what your motivations are for this. And I'm going to turn my camera off, but continue on Bluetooth as I let my freaking out dog outside, but I will hear you.
Thank you. And hopefully my dogs will stay settled so everyone can hear me. Thanks for having me today. My name is Dylan Zwicky, and I apologize for the late nature of my application. My wife and I are probably some of the newest residents to the village of Essex. We moved to our house here on Waverly Street just at the very end of May, and so are still getting settled. I am a Vermonter. I grew up just outside of Middlebury in Ripton down in Addison County. I left for school and then came back shortly after that and have been around Vermont. We previously lived in the town of Essex, and then we're looking for a single family home. And so experienced many of the challenges that Gabrielle spoke about in terms of the challenges that we face across the state here in Essex. And really everywhere in terms of addressing housing challenges. It is extraordinarily difficult to buy a home today, and we feel very fortunate to have landed in Essex Junction. I've always had a keen interest in responsible and thoughtful development. In my day job, I spend time in the Vermont legislature and have spent quite a bit of time following the committees of jurisdiction as they grapple with questions of how to encourage and regulate development in the state. So I would say that is what I bring to the table in terms of experience. I don't have a background in land use planning. My background is in political science and economics, and my day job is mostly on the policy and advocacy front. But I am always interested in listening to everyone who's willing to come to the table and make a thoughtful decision about the evidence that they present. And my motivation for applying to the DRB was really as a new resident of the village of Essex, soon to become the city. I really, and I'll take a stab at the question that you've asked previous applicants, is that part of the reason that we were so happy to land here in the village is the direction that it's headed. Really impressed with some of the work that volunteers and elected officials have done here in this community to make the village more walkable, more livable, and to promote some of that infill development that I think is the right direction to head as we think about land use here in the state and making it easier and more affordable for everyone to live here in Vermont. And I hope to be able to play a small role in helping the village and city move forward along that path.
Great. Thanks for jumping on that question. Dan, Amber, do you have any questions for Dylan? No?
I'm good.
Okay. Sorry about having to step away, but I was listening. No, I think, as you were talking, I was scanning what you sent us and listening to what you were saying. I think that's great. I don't have any further questions for you. Welcome to the village city, soon to be city. So thank you very much for putting your name in, for stepping forward. And as I said earlier, we'll let you know sooner than later. Thanks. All right. Trying to find the agenda here. I think we've gotten everybody.
Yes.
managed
Yep.
to get that.
That's all 9.
right.
It's 8 o'clock on the dot. Nice work.
Wow.
So as I mentioned before, and I think you've alluded to, Raj, you have a variety of choices tonight. You can proceed right now with making motions and appointments. You can finish the rest of the agenda and go into executive session to talk about the appointments, and then come out of that and choose whether or not to make some appointments tonight. You are down 2 members, and obviously we have the luxury of video today. So if for any reason you were unsure of things, you also don't need to make appointments tonight. The only thing I would say is most of those boards won't have quorums and just won't be able to meet between now and July 13th when your next meeting is. However, I don't think that will be really a problem for any of those groups. I reached out to John Alden, and it doesn't seem there's no applications in the pipeline. So we're not going to hold anything up if for some reason you chose that you thought that you needed to wait. But those I think are your choices for tonight.
Great. Amber, Dan, do you have any? So we do have video. George and Andrew can watch. They can't ask any questions though, or any follow-ups as a result of that. So that
Raj, I was just going to say that I did have communication with George earlier today. He felt pretty comfortable with what we had, for candidates and what, the things moving forward in our meeting. So I don't think he had any major issues, at least.
I kind of feel like Andrew is the same way. I didn't see anybody that I think would raise red flag if you two agree. And Amber, it seems like you're on board. So second question, do we feel like, and I guess I didn't ask what Andrew always asks, and I feel bad about that, I guess, but if folks, well, I guess this question is always, do you want to be interviewed in executive session? Not if do you want us to talk about it in executive session. So do either of you feel, dog is killing me. Do either of you feel like we need to go into executive session to make these decisions? Okay, I don't either. So with that, there are a number of motions here.
Can we make them all at once?
Yeah.
What you want?
So I'm just going to ask real quick. Let's start. Try to do this quickly, but the two of you have any comments about any of the candidates that would cause you any concern?
I don't have any comments. I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
What
all right. Okay. Just wanted to
no, my only comment is, again, I want to reiterate that I'm very excited to see so many new folks come out and apply. It makes me very happy.
And not only that, but this group has a big range in a lot of different ways. And it's a lot of really interesting experience. It's a really interesting group of people to come and work on the city's behalf. So, all right. So how do we have, it looks like we might have to do all three of these, right?
Yeah, you can do them all together at once, or you can do them as three separately. It's up to you.
I don't mind doing them all together if somebody wants to read them.
Okay, I will move that we approve Gabrielle Smith, 3-year term,
Tatanisha, yep.
Yeah. Rededita for a 3-year term. Ned Daly for a 2-year term. Katie Ballard for a 1-year term. Maya Watson for a 1-year term to the Housing Commission. I also move that we appoint Diane Clemens to a 3-year term, Elijah Massey for a 3-year term, and Scott McCormick for a 2-year term to the Planning Commission. I further move we appoint John Alden for a 1-year term, Kristen Gildia for a 2-year term to the Development Review Board.
Do we should add
the other
Maggie Massey to the
to the
DRB board. and
Dylan Zwicky.
Dylan Zwicky as well.
Dylan Zwicky, yes.
And if you wouldn't mind just adding Robert Mount as well. He is a current member of the ZBA, but I just think as a formality, it'll just round out the 5.
Is he going to DRB?
He is.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
That as well.
I'll second all of that.
Great. With no further comment, all those in favor of Dan's motion, say aye.
Aye.
That is approved 3-0. Again, thank you to all of our applicants tonight for being willing to serve, and for those who are continuing on in their positions. It is greatly appreciated, and it's going to be an exciting few years ahead as we transition to a city. All right, So consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Consent agenda passes. Reading file. Board member comments. Anybody? The July 1st celebration looks great. Thanks for including the plans there. That's coming right up. It's kind of hard to believe. And yeah, totally forgot that this was the last trustee meeting. I sort of feel like we're not all here, and that's a little weird, but glad Gabrielle brought that up. It's kind of a little odd. Dan's gonna cry. And but without an executive session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Great. The trustees meeting is adjourned.